Previously on Oblivion Uncovered, we followed a trail of clues from a mysterious burned-down tower in Breville County. To be completely honest, it really could have been anything in this place. To a ruined all things alchemical just outside the Imperial City. I have a feeling it used to sell, alchemical ingredients and stuff. I don't know, call it a hunch. Just what, or who, set both places on fire? Whoever I was dealing with, all the clues pointed to Skingrad. Home to various undead, excellent wines and hoes, Skingrad seemed like a perfect home for my key suspect. Falanuhlalu, owner of all things alchemical in Skingrad, and she's got a thing for dead bodies. How you doing?
By the way, do you happen to know what the fine is here in Cyrodiil for necrophilia? Just asking.
But after searching her store and staking out both graveyards in town, I still have nothing on her. So if she's really got her hands in anything sticky, we're gonna need solid hard evidence of that. Luckily, there's one other place in town that might just shed light on who she really is. And surprisingly, it's just across the street. See that house right there? Yeah, me too. Well, I've passed this place a gazillion times without so much as turning my head. And, well, no wonder, right? It's just another house in the neighborhood. What's the big fucking deal? Well, until one day I peeked around the corner and there it was. A burned tree. Wicked scene. And right smack dab in the middle of an otherwise casual backyard too. And now the real question. What do you think could have roughed it up so badly? Take your time to noodle it through, really, I'm in no rush. Struck by lightning? I don't know, an unruly fireball exploded nearby? Perhaps someone torched it on purpose? Well, who? It recently moved here from Kvatch. To be frank, this one is my personal favorite, And this other limb, casually lying within just a few feet. Unless someone left it here, where did that come from? Because I have yet to see any missing branches on that burned tree. Funny this burned tree shows up right here, just across the street from all things alchemical. Really makes you wonder if it might be a throwback to the other all things alchemical, back near the Imperial City. And by extension, the burned down tower in Breville County. The pattern is kind of there. Not saying there's necessarily a writing on the wall here, but I must admit, it is a rather entertaining coincidence. Unlike other derelict houses in Cyrodiil, think Shaden Hall or the one in Anvil, Nerastarel's house couldn't imply ownership more explicitly. It's right there in the name. But whoever this Nerastarel is, one thing is crystal clear. He's hardly hurting for gold. If the Rosethorn Hall just across the street is anything to go by, then Nerastarel's house could easily sell for 35 grand, bare walls. And here's the shocker. A burned tree and locked doors, sure, they look suspicious, but wait until it hits you like a ton of bricks. There's no one in town going by Nerastarel, and you've never seen anybody come and go. So whatever is going on here, clearly the owner is not expecting visitors. I'm going in, Harry! Well, nobody home. This place is a shithole. Got dust, cobwebs everywhere, knocked over furniture. Hello?
You picked the wrong house, fool!
Clearly, this place has been abandoned for a while. And this is where it starts to get really odd, because other than all the ghosts and skeletons rattling their bony asses in its empty halls, there's no trace of anyone named Nerastarel. Anywhere. No dead body, no journal or notes, not even a rumor bouncing around town. To be completely honest, I'm beginning to wonder if the townsfolk are even aware of what's really going on here behind locked doors. Think about it. If word got around that this place was deserted, it would have been reclaimed by the Count to be fixed and put back up for sale. At bare minimum, we would have had squatters by now. Plenty enough bums in town who would move right in without looking back once. And if this place being haunted was public knowledge, let's say a squatter tried to bunk down for the night only to be chased away by the undead or went missing, well, wouldn't this house be the talk of Skingrad? Locked down by the city guard with warnings to keep out. Any way you slice it, we've got an entire town going about their own business like this place doesn't exist.
Nerastarel? What, you want a sweet roll with that? By the way, I saw a mud crab the other day.
Speaking of all the undead, by the way, they don't strike me as failed experiments on the loose. Disasters stand to spell out, but here we have a bunch of undead roaming around like it's their home. Sure, they're locked in here, but doors don't lock themselves. Someone must have done that. Oh, and by the way, note all the lights bouncing off of the walls. Hardly out of place until you realize there's not a single light source around. No chandeliers, no lit candles or fireplaces. Really, Todd?
Who's laughing now?
If the ground floor raises a bunch of questions, it's upstairs where some subtle clues start to bubble up to the surface. We have a queen-sized bed. We have some equipment for brewing potions. We have dusty shelves lined with generic manuals on alchemy. Note the little safe box just above the door. It's got some jewelry under lock and key, but nothing really unique though, just your random trinkets. However, other than some cobwebs and a decrepit wooden crate in the corners, Nerastarel's bedroom is oddly tidy. Someone made this bed recently. There's even a silver bowl and a pitcher on the nightstand right next to it. That chandelier is lit. So unless my eyes are deceiving me, Nerastarel's bedroom hardly spells out abandoned. Or at least, it hasn't been long enough. By the way, the undead you encounter on this floor are randomized, so it's always something different. Lastly, what really stands out is the name, Nerastarel. Clearly of Altmer origin, most likely male. Okay, so it looks like we have a pretty clear profile of our key suspect, Nerastarel, right? We have a high elf, we have some books on alchemy, and we have a house full of undead. Definitely a necromancer. Definitely. However, presumption is a bitch. You see, an alchemical setup doesn't mean anything. Sorry to break it to you, but neither do all the undead hanging around. They're standard issue conjurer's spells, perfectly legal and even readily available at any local mage's hall across Cyrodiil. Elsewhere in Cyrodiil, we've seen clear, undeniable evidence of necromancers setting up shop right in the midst of an otherwise quiet town. Brick-sized old volumes with bizarre runes and characters, human parts, weird shrines, that's evidence. Solid, hard, and impossible to ignore. Then you have Nerastarel's house. Messy, yeah. A little strange, kind of. But come on, my own crib could give this place a run for its money. That doesn't make me a necromancer now, does it? Necromancer. Think about it. If there was a necromancer raising the dead in the middle of a busy town, the Mages Guild next door would eventually take notice. And unlike the Bruma chapter, which are a bunch of puskies, the local mages can bring a really good fight whenever the need arises.
By the nine divines, assault! There's a psychopath on the loose. Yeah! By the nine divines, assault! Assault!
So between them and the vampire count, who has a special kind of stick up his ass about other bloodsuckers and necromancers encroaching on his territory, come on, I couldn't think of a worse place for a necromancer to set up shop. But let's assume for argument's sake, Nerastarel used to live in Skingrad and dabbled in dark arts, before he was blown and forced to skip town. Wouldn't the house have been repossessed by the Count, possibly cleared out and even sold to a new owner? Again, we have none of that. You would think no one in town cares enough to stop and think for a second. Where is Nerastarel? I haven't seen anyone come and go in ages, something along these lines. But there's another way to look at things. Nerastarel is actually one of the undead roaming the halls, how about that? And somebody makes sure it stays under wraps. But how do you even end up like that? We've seen necromancers turn human beings into zombies, yeah, but so far we've never seen one turn themselves into walking dead. It would take a special kind of clumsy, dumb even. So dumb, not even the Mages Guild has a single record of some goober mage turning themselves into a zombie by sheer accident, let alone on purpose. Now, to be honest, I'm starting to seriously think that Nerastarel might have had a crush on this Falano Hlaalo right across the street, but after finding out she's only into dead guys, he figured, he would convert himself into some kind of Walking Dead, because that's what she's into, Then again, all the undead here are randomly generated. Sometimes it's a wraith, sometimes it's a couple of skeleton. Nerastarel would have likely had a permanent spawn model, with a name to tell it's him. Like that zombie over in Crucible, Uncle Leo.
I'm warning you. Get out or call the guards!
Okay, well let's play around with the idea that Nerastarel was Mages Guild.
So?
They send us up to drag that loser Earther back by his hair from some stinky cave, right?
So?
But they're suddenly too lazy to check in on Nerastarel next door, one of their own. The guy doesn't check in for a while, and they just go on about their daily routine.
So?
I find it hard to believe. Hold on. Earther? Earther is a conjurer. We find the guy hanging out in a cave full of zombies, right? Likely his own mess. And his peers at the Mages Guild will mention a certain scamp incident, recently, which apparently had led to him setting up shop out of town in the first place. So clearly, he's a poor excuse for a conjurer, but a conjurer nonetheless.
So?
Now think about Nerastarel's house again, abandoned and crawling with all the undead. I can totally imagine Earther stirring up hell in that house, then barely escaping with his own life. After all, the guy's no stranger to that kind of thing.
Could I maybe come? Oh, thank you. I'm ever so grateful.
So what if this Nerastarel is actually, Earther? Or rather, Earther used to be Nerastarel. And we're just looking at what became of Nerastarel after Bethesda figured that rescuing a guy pinned down by a bunch of undead in his house wasn't all that exciting of a quest. So they moved his quest into that cave out of town, the same place you go to save Earther. Renamed him to Earther because, let's be honest, Nerastarel is a little too dignified for the kind of pushover Earther turned out to be. Meanwhile, the real Nerastarel, maybe it was too much of a hassle to fill in that gap left in his absence. Or they simply forgot to tie off that loose end. World building can be a tough game,
Wait. So what about Falano? What about her? Because it looks like she's got nothing to do with nothing.
Nerastarel looks like purged Mages Guild assets to me. That burned tower in Breville County, likely another cut quest. The only thing we have is her store, and the other one near the Imperial City.
To be frank, I'm starting to wonder if I might just be, kind of overthinking this whole mystery. Damn you, Todd! Damn you!
Damn you, Todd. But what if Nerastarel is actually a member of the Manny Marco's order? What if he used to live here but has since relocated to one of the order's hideouts out of town, leaving his house guarded by the undead? If he's out there somewhere, I can only pray our paths finally cross someday.